2 days into college and 3 lectures behind, the Oklahoma City Thunder just acquired Jared McCain ahead of the NBA trade deadline. Why this is such a big deal, why the Thunder gave up so much to get Jared McCain, and what this means for Oklahoma City's future. Plus, SGA is out through the All-Star break, and the Thunder are without 10 of their 15 standard contracted players tonight in San Antonio. We'll talk about it all on today's show.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I'm your host, member and beat writer for ThunderOnInside.com, Rylan Stiles. You can follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at @LoThunderPod. This is the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. You everydayers make this show work, and you everydayers are here for a bonus show talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder's trade deadline move, a stunning move that the Thunder bring in Jared McCain at the trade deadline. And we're here with Derek Parker, DPark OK on social media, Derek Dash Parker on YouTube, which this trade involves the draft in a big way. And we were both very high on Jared McCain coming out of the draft. Derek, he was our guy. We were circling him for Oklahoma City back during his 2024 NBA draft. And now he's in OKC, and the trade from Shams Charania, of course, will not tell the full story yet because it has not been, as of the time that we're recording this, it has not been officially announced yet by the team. So all we know right now from Shams Charania is that Philadelphia is trading Jared McCain to Oklahoma City for a 2026 Houston Rockets first-round pick and 3 second-round picks. Derek, just that Shams notification, how did it hit you for this team?
I'm feeling a little extra juice from you first off today, Rylan. You're amped up. I'm loving it. Yeah, it hit pretty hard, I would say. I don't think anybody was expecting this level of move. You know, we figured that there would be something around the fringes. I would say this is a step up from that. You know, this is a player that looked like a rookie of the year candidate, you know, a calendar year ago. And obviously he suffered the injury in his first season, and that's really hampered this second season. But I mean, the graphic here says it all. This is a pretty massive move in terms of moves that we thought the Thunder would make. Jared McCain is a big get, and I understand the draft capital that they sent out to get him.
Yeah, I totally understand the draft capital. Look, we both love the draft. We both love Jared McCain in this draft of 2024. We both love the 2026 draft. But the thing is, right, they already have or had up to 3 selections in the 2026 NBA draft. Now they sit with 2, the Clippers and funny enough, the Sixers pick, which they did not give the Sixers their own pick back. They gave the Sixers the Houston pick back, which there's a bit of a gap there between where those 2 picks are. The Sixers are at pick 18. Houston is down at pick 26, which now goes to Philadelphia instead of Oklahoma City. At pick 26, you're not going to find someone who can do the things that Jared McCain can do. And I think that that's where Houston is going to remain, somewhere in the 26, 27 range for the rest of this season. So I think that this is a best case scenario for that draft asset, is to get a guy like Jared McCain.
You're at least not going to find someone that can plug in as quick as Jared McCain. Could you get a talented player there? Sure. Like, is Philadelphia probably going to go get a decent player, or flip that to a team who could go draft a decent player in a deep draft? Yes. Are they going to be as ready as Jared McCain is with NBA experience already under his belt? You know, he's a high field player. He's going to be able to plug in pretty seamlessly immediately. So yeah, we talk about kicking these picks down the road to go and get players. This is kind of the adverse of that, where, you know, now they're flipping this pick for a player that has a little bit under his belt, albeit with a lot of room to grow moving forward too.
Yeah, and the second round picks are just nothing. I mean, and I don't say that flippantly. This is why you go get $1 billion second round picks, is because at the trade deadline, the second round picks, they are the sweetener to get a deal done. And they push this deal over the finish line by giving them 3 second round picks. And guess what? The Thunder still have approximately $2.3 billion second round picks moving forward. Like, so they're still fine on the second round pick front. Also, want to make a quick note. Obviously, the Wizards got AD today, and Shams put out the tweet about how they got a Thunder pick. People have been confused by that. the Wizards already own that Thunder pick heading into today. The Thunder are not involved in that trade. It's a separate transaction, just like Houston is not involved in this trade, but it is Houston's pick that Oklahoma City already owned. So with Jared McCain, I think that he immediately helps this team. And why this move is so stunning, Derek, is because heading into the trade deadline, we've had many a pods, many a live streams, many a articles about what we expected Oklahoma City to do. Move on from Ousmane Dieng, get an insurance big man maybe. Maybe they just get a nothing burger for Ousmane Dieng. Maybe they just attach 2 seconds to him and get a Daron Sharp, right? A rental. And instead, they get a guy who is going to take up a roster spot next year. Like this is someone who has already had his club option picked up, of course, by Philadelphia, which transfers to Oklahoma City, $4.4 million next year, and $6.7 million the year after that in a club option before he hits restricted free agency. But the Thunder are not going to flippantly give away a first-round pick to not have him on the team next year. That'd be stunning. So this is a guy that they clearly value and clearly want around long-term, and we already know about the impending roster crunch that Oklahoma City is staring down. And obviously, for this sake of the pod, by the time that many of you listen to this, you'll probably already know the result, but the Thunder do have to move on from Oos in some capacity to make this trade work, either by trading him or by waiving him. They have too many guys on the roster. They need a roster spot open. So Oos is going to leave, but it's gonna be however it gets sorted out will end up being the intake versus outtake will be Oos left, Jared McCain's here now. And Derek, I think that Jared McCain does everything that this Thunder team really needs from a player. And I do agree with you that he can plug in and he can be someone that helps his team right away. But I think that even next year will be an even bigger opportunity for him to help the team versus just this last half of this season. But Derek, he is at 1.156 points per possession as a pick and roll ball handler. He's 40% as a catch and shoot shooter. And on shot quality shots above the 80th percentile, he shoots 52%. Those are 3 ways that the Thunder should maximize him in the flow of their normal offense. And I think that those are part of the skills that you see why Oklahoma City is valuing him so highly.
100%. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with, we were expecting this time period right now, this trade deadline to kind of function around maybe cutting players or at least, opening up spots for the future. Now you have a player that I would be shocked if they didn't want around for the future. So you're totally right on that point. And then on Jared McCain and just his skill set in general, again, you hit on the major points here. He's a player that is so pluggable on offense. He has one of the quickest, more replicable 3-point shots I've seen in the time that I've done the draft process. His 3-point shot is really, really solid, like very good mechanically. He can do no dip. He can do it off screen. He can do it on the movement. This is a guy that shot, I believe, 58% in transition with the Duke Blue Devils through his one season. That's pretty incredible. He's lightning quick. And then you talk about the secondary playmaking, the pick and roll stuff. Not a lot of creation given his limited athleticism, but certainly a player that you could look to when you get past the Shai minutes, past AJ minutes that, could do these different actions with Isaiah Hartenstein. He's going to be a real weapon for Isaiah Hartenstein, Jay Will, these type of players. So yeah, totally agree. He is such a seamless fit immediately and for the future with this Thunder team.
Yeah, I really buy. So, we've like texted about this move before we hopped on here. I agree with you that like he's not some dynamite shot creator, but I do buy that the upside as a shot creator off the dribble, especially like looking at how he can get to a 3-pointer off the dribble. I buy that long term, maybe not this season, but long term for Jared McCain. And I think that this Thunder team is going to be a great landing spot for him. But whenever I look at this move, I do value this as a playoff changing move for Oklahoma City. And I don't think that we could have said that about many other options out there. Even the options that you and I have discussed on the show, we admitted at the time, they were kind of just do it for the sake of doing a move trades that would not impact Oklahoma City anyway in the postseason. I think Jared McCain can change how this team fares this postseason. I'll tell you why coming up. But first, I want to say right now, pretty good friends over at Indeed, folks. Go check out Indeed today because Indeed is there for you. Whenever you look at this, hiring is not just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want a candidate who matches what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move, because this Indeed is not just hoping that you follow into the right person and stumble into the right person across your post. Indeed is helping you match with a qualified candidate by boosting your job listings to the people who fit your specific criteria, from skills to certifications to locations. If I were hiring, I wouldn't just want someone who could help. I would want the real experience and the real person who can jump right in and help my program right away. And that's what I like about Indeed. You get specific and targeted candidates exactly for what you need. It saves you time. It spends less energy scrolling through mismatches, and you can go right now with a sponsored job and get your post seen by candidates who can actually fit for you. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. So listeners to this show, right now, you can get $75 in sponsored job credit to help you get your job to the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Also, I'd say right now, we're good friends over at TurboTax, folks. Go check out TurboTax today, because tax season does not have to take over your life. This year, folks, whenever you look at it, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on about your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person and connect online. They help guide you and handle everything from W-2s to self-employment forms and work you through every deduction that you should get. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right on the app, on TurboTax's app. It is a huge time saver. It gives you real peace of mind knowing an expert is there to handle it for you. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If TurboTax expert did not file for you last year, don't worry. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off of your plate and get back in your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. We're back on the Lockdown Thunder Emergency Podcast on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your teams every day. Derek, this is just a disorienting show. I don't know how entertaining the show is to listen to. I feel like I don't remember what I said 2 minutes ago, but I do know this. I think that Jared McCain is going to impact this Thunder team in the postseason. But I also do know this, that Shams Charania is tweeting out deals out of order. Ousmane Dieng is somehow in Charlotte, and then he's gone from Charlotte to Chicago. So Ousmane Dieng is going to spend out his last half of this season with the Chicago Bulls, and your Charlotte Hornets get Kobe White and Mike Conley Jr. So the Thunder, of course, like we said, this is why we prefaced it with, look, however it happens, it's going to be Ous out, McCain in. And with that being said, Derek, I know that I like this move for the future, and that goes without saying, because he's so young and he has so much scalability of his career offensively and defensively. I think that he has the bones of a fine defender, and if you put that into the Thunder's developmental track record and Thunder's developmental staff, you can get a really solid defender, and a solid defender next to these elite perimeter attack defenders can be a nice addition to this team for what I think he can give you offensively. And offensively, I told you I buy the shot creation at a higher rate right now than it seems like you do. But even just for this year, I think that in the postseason, you could see a scenario where the Thunder just need a spark offensively. They just need someone who can hit a three. They need to change up their looks from beyond the arc. Shai is in his bag, generating shot after shot that isn't falling. And then you throw Jared McCain out there, and Jared McCain lets it rip. Just lets it rip from beyond the arc. That's one way to help you. I think that there's a scenario where Jared McCain has to do a lot of the pick and roll stuff on the ball for Oklahoma City, because let's face it, like AJ Mitchell, this is a good protection for AJ Mitchell. Like you and I have discussed, Derek, he plays a very taxing style of play. It is susceptible to getting beat, battered, and bruised the way that AJ Mitchell plays basketball, which is fearless, which is incredible, which is a great player, but it is susceptible to those kind of banged up injuries. And you want a guy in case of emergency, and that's Jared McCain, who also can shoot threes, who also is a great catch and shoot play finisher, who also can be a connective passer, who also can blow by you at times and get to the rim. I think that this is a great move that can help this team come playoff time. It's not just relegated to the regular season rental that we once thought that they would do at the deadline.
I agree that's the goal. And I think it is a decent one to have. I don't want to get too ahead of the skis because this is a player that Philadelphia is letting go of for a reason. Like there is going to be some workability here for the Thunder to get him into the rotation. I think he's averaging 6 points on 38% shooting this year in general, not just from beyond the arc in general. He's had some time in the G, so he's working back. Like I don't want to put too many expectations on him that, hey, this is going to be a playoff rotation caliber player right now, the second he hits the ground in Oklahoma City. But that is 100% the goal. All the things you touched on are things that should be the goal for this season. I don't know if they'll get there. Again, athletically, he has looked a little bit lesser than he has in the past because of the injuries that he's had. But I think feel for the game goes a long way in this discussion because not only does it just raise your bar as a player in general, but it especially raises your bar as a Thunder player. Like all of the things he's good at defensively, I think are helped by this Thunder system. All of the things he does good offensively are helped by this Thunder system. And even the things that I think he's only so at offensively right now, self-creation in isolation, things like that, maybe really advanced pick and roll play. I think those are helped by this Thunder system too, because of the weapons, the screeners that they have, just the pure talent. So I agree that should be the goal. I think it's a decent goal to have. I think it's the goal that they set out when they made this trade, and obviously the longer term stuff that you talk about. But I do want to pump the brakes just a little that while that is the goal, it might not be realistic in the coming months.
Yeah, it might not look great on Saturday or on Tuesday or whenever it is that he's going to play, whenever it is he's going to be back. But that's the biggest thing that I think that it's somehow easy and hard to both remember of just the playoffs are so long away. Like I know that we are halfway through the season, but we're 5 months away from crowning an NBA champion. And between now and 5 months, I think that there could be a scenario where you get to a game or you get to a series where like Jared McCain can be important for you. I'll put it like this though, like to put it back into perspective what I just said, obviously I'm not saying he's going to be someone as important as the big three or as
right.
a rotational player, but he certainly can be a lot more important than Oos.
Right.
I mean, he certainly can make a bigger impact than Oos. I could ever dream of making the playoffs. And I like Oos. I think he's a great guy. I'm hoping he has success in Chicago, but you couldn't even factor in Oos to a playoff picture at all, unless it was a blowout. With Jared McCain, you at least have given yourself a shot to have a playoff player this deep onto your roster. And then, like I said in the first segment, I'm actually most excited for this move going to next season than even just the rest of this season. But the rest of this season, though, is a nice little caveat. I hope that we get to see Jared McCain play sooner rather than later. But whenever you look at this decision and this move, you mentioned how he played in the G League some for Delaware. That's right. The Thunder, their G League system, one, a bit better developmentally, but two, more convenient. They play in Oklahoma City just like the Thunder do. And so perhaps you could see Jared McCain get his feet wet in the G League, and I would not be alarmed by that. And the reason why I wouldn't be alarmed by that is because the Blue play the exact same system as the Thunder do, as I've told you many times on this show. And that's valuable to letting him have a low pressure, low leverage environment to learn the system, to learn his role within the system, and to get his kind of bearings about him after this trade in the same city he's going to play in professionally, in the same arena he's going to play in the NBA. Everything's the same. It's just a different jersey and a different amount of people in the crowd. Like letting him get those bearings about him could be beneficial to this team. But also the trade deadline, of course, comes at the perfect time where you're going to have a week of training of all-star practices at the end of the all-star game, a couple days at least before getting the second half of the season started. So I'm excited about Jared McCain's trade this year, but I agree with you that you can pump the brakes on his expectation this year, while it could happen that like he could be a nice player.
Well, and to bolster your points, because again, that is the goal. Like they want Jared McCain to play positive playoff basketball this season. To that end, this is a player that stylistically, again, is pluggable. Like 3-point shooting is something that transfers from team to team. An open 3-point shot is an open 3-point shot. And OKC is probably generating a few more of those than Philadelphia is. So that's something, that is going to transfer right away. Team defense is going to transfer right away general feel for pick and roll play is going to transfer right away. The things that are going to take a little more time is what we're seeing with Isaiah Joe right now, where he has developed real chemistry with Isaiah Hartenstein. He's developed real chemistry in the two-man game with Shai, with J. Will. Those things are going to come with Jared McCain long-term. And I think that's eventually, going to really, really bolster his high-end ceiling. But the early stuff, threes, team defense, getting out in transition, all that stuff is going to immediately help Oklahoma City. So I also want to backtrack a little bit and say, it's not like it's not going to help right now. It is going to help right now, but I also don't want to say that, this is like, oh, this pushes them above, Denver quite easily or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a nice move for OKC. Let's talk about tonight's game has 10 of their 15 standard contracted players out, but most importantly, SGA is out through the All-Star break. We'll talk about that on today's show. But first, I want to say right now, we're good friends over at FanDuel. Go check out FanDuel today, folks, because FanDuel is incredible, and it's there for you. Listen, it's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Saturday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorites or riding out the underdog or building your last same-game parlay of the season, this is the place to do it, where predictions turn into plays, where stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season's over. Last call for football at FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. We're back on the Lockdown Thunder podcast on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your teams every day. Folks, a lot of stuff has happened today. We'll have many more Jared McCain pods throughout this next week. I am very excited for this move, and I'm going to talk to anybody who will listen about Jared McCain. But we also have more Thunder news, because the Thunder, just as soon as the McCain news comes out, they announced that Thunder guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander he's sustaining an abdominal injury, abdominal strain, and will be reevaluated following the All-Star break. So that puts him out, of course, at least until the All-Star break. And obviously, now he'll be an injury replacement in the All-Star game itself, but at least he still has the designation of being an All-Star. But that means he's going to miss tonight against San Antonio. He's going to miss Houston. He's going to miss the Lakers. He's going to miss the Suns and the Bucks. And that's it at the least. That's just his reevaluation date, not his return date. And so, Derek, we noticed yesterday that he was really grimacing, really holding his side. We talked about that on Thunder After Dark on the OKC Dream Team Patreon. I talked about that on Lockdown Thunder. And now we know why. And he's going to be out through the All-Star break. Any sort of thoughts on this news?
It's unsurprising. It really did look like he was laboring against the Magic. We don't typically see him that, animated about injuries and things like that, but he was really stretching it out and obviously having to kind of work to get around some of those Magic point of attack defenders. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough break. Obviously you look at the schedule that's coming up, not an easy one, heading into the All-Star break. Feels like this team is kind of limping toward the All-Star break, and that, maybe that can give them some relief in terms of injuries. But Rylan, you and I talked about all preseason, all offseason, that this is the deepest team in the league. Like there really wasn't, in terms of at least pure depth, a team that was even close to them secondarily. So I think that's going to be tested. Obviously they've still got talent, but man, you talk about 10 of the 15 contracted players out. That's a real stress test.
Oh, this is a crazy stress test. If the Thunder, let me tell you this, okay? I know that nobody cares about moral victories, and that's for them. I won't go there, but listen, I care about moral victories in this sense. If this Thunder team doesn't lose by 25 tonight, then that's a win for OKC. If they find a way to not lose by 25 tonight, that's a big win, and we're going to be celebrating on Lockdown Thunder. The Thunder tonight against San Antonio, they're without Alex Caruso, right abductor injury management. They're without Ousmane Dieng, who's, of course, in Chicago now. They're without Lou Dort, who has a joint inflammation that I'm not even going to try to say. Shai, we just talked about. Ihart is out with a right eye issue. Chet is out with lower back spasms. AJ Mitchell is out with an abdominal strain. Thomas Sorber, of course, and Nikola Topic are out, but so is J-Dub, who is out with a right hamstring strain. Then you get to the San Antonio Spurs, who list Stephen Castle and Dylan Harper as questionable, as well as Kenny Olynyk. But other than that, or Kelly Olynyk, not Kenny. But other than that, the Spurs good to go. So, look, this is a game that they punted. We thought maybe they'd punt yesterday and play today, but instead they played yesterday, won in going away fashion yesterday, and punted today. And a lot of these issues, iHeart just took a beating yesterday, and his eye did not look great post game. So, that makes sense there. Chet had been questionable with back spasms. He's out now. Not much to watch for in this game. And honestly, Derek, I'm not too concerned about Shai being out through the All-Star break. I think that this is a very necessary, cautious approach. And you look at it, and now he'll have these next 2 weeks plus that All-Star week itself to get right.
Yeah, that 24-1 start, gives them the leeway here to be cautious with things. Like, they're 6 games ahead of the next best team in the West, being the Denver Nuggets. They just beat them even undermanned, so they can be cautious. I would take the cautious approach. I'm sure they're being cautious with a lot of these players. If the playoffs started tomorrow, I don't know that the injury report would look like this. So yeah, I think this is the right move. And even the players that are playing tonight, Jay Will has dealt with his fair share of stuff. Aaron Wiggins has been on the injury report with adductor strains this season. So, even the guys that will be playing are probably feeling pretty banged up right now. And again, if they even keep this a close contest, I would consider that, in your words, a moral victory.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think the starting lineup's going to be tonight? Like,
I'm getting all these. I mean, there's so many players on the injury report that I'm having to remind myself.
It's hard to cross them off.
Kaysen Wallace.
Kaysen,
it's probably your starting point guard tonight.
Wiggins,
yes.
J Will, yes. Kenrich? Does he go Kenrich?
How fast can they get Jared McCain to San Antonio?
Dude, red eye from Delaware, the first ever Delaware to San Antonio red eye in the history of the world. Paul Revere didn't even do that. It's just Jared McCain who's ever done a red eye to San Antonio. Maybe they could,
realistically, it's Kaysen, Ijo, Kenrich, J Will, and who was the other player we said? Wiggins. Yeah, I think that's the 5.
Yeah, so Kaysen, Ijo, Wiggins, Kenrich, J Will. Yeah, I think that's the 5 too. Which means that your bench is Brooks Barnhizer, Brandon Carlson, Chris Youngblood. Listen, can we just say this? Another moral? Can I give you another moral victory item to watch for?
Sure.
Moral victory if Chris Youngblood has his shorts facing the right way this time. Because if you remember last time that the Thunder needed to play a 2-way guard in San Antonio, my guy Adam Flagler, friend of the pod, whomst I love, by the way, wears shorts backwards. So if Chris Youngblood wears the shorts forward, they're at least making progress on that front of putting guard 2-ways into the game in San Antonio. So that would be good.
That was in San Antonio?
It was in San Antonio during the NBA Cup.
I was like, how do you even remember that? I have no idea.
Well, I remember everything about Adam Flagler. I love Adam Flagler. Of course, you know that. I'm the Adam Flagler encyclopedia.
It's fair.
If you come on the show, if you ever come on the show, I become an encyclopedia of you, which is fair to say about Derek as well.
Yeah. We don't need to get into all that.
We don't need to get into all that, obviously. But so the Thunder, of course, get Jared McCain. That's the biggest deal. Whose tenure is over. A forgettable tenure, but a nice guy and a great G League player who got them their first G League title and back-to-back champion, who's, by the way. So with Jared McCain, give me what you envision his role being short and long-term and how you think that this impacts OKC long-term.
Yeah, I think in the short term, at least, and it might be the same, but in the absolute short term, I do envision kind of an Isaiah Joe-esque role. I think Isaiah Joe is a little more athletic. He's a little longer, but Jared McCain really, really fits what the Thunder look for in terms of feel. He's got more secondary playmaking. He can handle the ball a little better, a little bit different shot variety spread around. So I think in the short term, he is another weapon a la Isaiah Joe, which I think is a great thing. Isaiah Joe, despite maybe some playoff slippage, is still a really serviceable player in this Thunder core. And I think, again, in the short term, that's Jared McCain. In the long term, this is a player that with any improvement, I think could get to starter level. Like if he really does take strides as a pick and roll player or defensively, clogging lanes and really kind of sizing up despite his height, I think this is a player that if he's a consistent shooter could play starter level minutes. Now, it's not looking to be the case at least for maybe the next 1 to 2 years, but I think that's a worthy gamble. A late first round pick, some seconds, which you talk about in the context of the Thunder. I think seconds are valuable, not necessarily for this Oklahoma City team. So within that context, a gamble on a rotational level shooter who fills all the holes that you talked about: shooting, secondary playmaking, team defense. All those things are great. With the upside of a starter down the line, I think that's more than what we could have imagined for this deadline.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there. He at least has a rotational skill that can play in the playoffs, whereas the previous 15th man did not have a single skill that could play in the playoffs. That's good. Long term, though, I'm shocked that you say starting level player long term. As someone who pumped the brakes on me earlier, I was not going to go that far long term for McCain, but I do see this, Derek. And this is semantics at this point because that's like 6-man type of player. But I do see this of like him becoming just the perfect version of an Isaiah Joe Wiggins combination. Of like, I think that he can become as good, if not just a step below, Wiggins's on-ball shot creation. I think that he can become as good as Isaiah Joe's three-point shooting with a higher shot quality that he's going to get, just like Isaiah Joe moving from Philadelphia to OKC. Jared McCain moves from Philadelphia to OKC. I would think he's going to get some higher shot quality and, of course, up his production. And I think that he can make one of those two guys expendable. And not that like you want to push those guys out by any means. They're both good players. They're both great guys ingrained into the Thunder culture. That's all true. But role players cannot stay around here forever, and you're going to have to make tough decisions. You're going to have to make tough moves down the road. And if you can use, Wiggins, Joe's salary to go upgrade this roster this summer, you feel better about doing a trade like that now that you have a Jared McCain, I think. So I think that it protects you in terms of like roster building. I also think that it gives you, even if you keep this current roster, a great player who can really play.
Well, to marry our ideas, I think those guys are starter level players. Now, are they starting level players on the Oklahoma City Thunder, the best team in the NBA right now? No, but once you kind of thin out this roster and the money situations get a little more tied up with 3 players, I think there's potential for guys like Joe and Aaron Wiggins to start down the line. And I think there's a potential for a guy like Jared McCain to work his way into that as well. So I agree that he is that level of player. I think that level of player is a starter in like the more middling teams of the NBA to maybe lower teams. But on this Thunder roster specifically, which obviously is fresh off a championship, they're obviously not starting level quality players here.
Yeah. And I mean, Derek, you and I, you especially doing work at Draft Digest. I, sometimes do work at Draft Digest, but we were all over Jared McCain in this draft process. And you can search this podcast for more Jared McCain podcasts and why I was so desperate for OKC to go get him during the 2024 NBA draft. And because he is just a fantastic player as a prospect. And I think that he can really benefit from just a change of scenery for his own individual self, but also the change in team construct from Philadelphia to OKC.
Also, underrated aspect of all of this, incredible culture fit, truly, with the Oklahoma City Thunder. The TikTok stuff and the other things get blown up, but truly good dude, Jared McCain, gonna fit in this locker room impeccably. So mark there as well.
Yeah, he's gonna be in the TikToks and everything, and it's gonna be goated. It's gonna be goated for OKC. I don't know why I said goated on a podcast, but anyway, Derek, that was a fun, electric, discombobulated emergency pod. We'll have more Jared McCain coverage moving forward. We'll probably talk all about Jared McCain tonight because the game will not be worth talking about against San Antonio. But until then, be good and be good to one another.